What if I told you that the ultimate line in the sand has finally been drawn, and the royal family will never, ever be the same again? Right now, behind the heavy oak doors of the royal estates, the absolute unthinkable has just occurred. King Charles III has officially pulled the plug. In a secret, late-night emergency summit that left palace aides hyperventilating and lawyers scrambling in absolute panic, the king executed a cold, calculated, and completely ruthless legal move. He has officially severed Prince Harry's last remaining tie to the House of Windsor, and he did it by targeting the one thing nobody ever thought he would dare touch, Princess Diana's pristine, multi-million-dollar estate. We are talking about an absolute constitutional earthquake. The money, the heirlooms, the sacred trust funds meant to secure the Sussex legacy for generations, wiped out with a single stroke of a fountain pen. Harry was left completely blindsided, isolated, and entirely cut off from the inheritance his late mother explicitly left behind for him. The emotional fallout is apocalyptic, the legal battles are already turning dirty, and the palace is locked in total operational silence. You need to brace yourselves, because what went down behind closed doors at Sandringham isn't just a family feud anymore, it is an all-out, scorched-earth war for survival. To truly understand how we arrived at this absolute breaking point, we have to look back at the simmering, toxic cauldron of tension that has been bubbling beneath the surface of the House of Windsor for years. The relationship between Prince Harry and the core royal establishment wasn't just strained, it was a ticking time bomb waiting for the right spark to ignite an explosion. Ever since Harry and Meghan Markle made their earth-shattering exit to California, stepping down from their official duties and trading the dreary skies of London for the sun-drenched estates of Montecito, the palace has been quietly nursing a wound that never truly healed. For a time, the public was led to believe that a quiet, dignified distance would settle over the family. We were told there would be space, healing, and eventually, a quiet reconciliation. But behind the polished press releases and guarded public smiles, a bitter ideological war was being waged. Harry's high-profile media ventures, from tell-all interviews to bombshell docuseries and explosive memoirs, didn't just ruffle feathers in London, they tore through the ancient corridors of Buckingham Palace like a wrecking ball. Every public statement, every leaked anecdote, and every media appearance from Montecito was felt as a direct, calculated assault on the sovereign authority of the crown. In the eyes of King Charles, the monarchy is not merely a family, it is a sacred institution, a 1,000-year-old trust held on behalf of the nation. For years, Charles walked an agonizing tightrope. On one hand, he was a grieving father trying to hold on to a fractured relationship with his youngest son. On the other, he was the king, tasked with defending the dignity, financial integrity, and constitutional stability of the realm. Senior court advisors had been whispering in his ear for months, warning him that soft diplomacy was failing. They argued that every concession made to the Sussexes was being weaponized against the crown, and that allowing non-working royals to draw upon the historical and financial prestige of the monarchy was diluting the crown's power. The ultimate sticking point, the sacred ground that neither side was willing to yield, was the vast, complex financial network surrounding the late Princess Diana's estate. When Diana tragically passed away, she left behind a meticulously structured fortune, held in complex discretionary trusts, designed to guarantee absolute financial independence for both William and Harry. For decades, these funds were viewed as completely sacrosanct, entirely untouchable by palace bureaucrats or the reigning monarch. They were Diana's ultimate gift to her boys, a bulletproof shield intended to protect them from the very system that she felt had betrayed her. Harry operated under the firm, unshakable belief that his mother's money was legally and morally untouchable. It was his birthright, his financial oxygen, and the foundational capital that allowed him to build his independent life across the Atlantic. But as the rift widened, a quiet legal maneuver was being engineered deep within the administrative vaults of the Duchy of Lancaster. Palace legal architects were quietly examining ancient trust documents, private family covenants, and royal prerogatives, hunting for a loophole that could rewrite the rules of royal inheritance forever. The friction reached a fever pitch as whisper networks inside the palace started reporting that King Charles was growing increasingly exhausted by the constant looming threat of further commercial tell-alls. The king felt backed into a corner. He was watching his reign being continually overshadowed by external drama, and the institution was bleeding authority. The palace inner circle realized that as long as Harry maintained access to the monumental institutional capital tied to the Diana fortune, he possessed the ultimate safety net, a financial shield that made him completely immune to palace discipline. The decision was made in absolute secrecy. The safety net had to be destroyed. The boiling point erupted during a secretive, unscheduled gathering at the Sandringham estate, a location historically reserved for quiet family retreats, but on this night, transformed into a legal battleground. The atmosphere was described by palace insiders as suffocatingly tense. The king had arrived early, flanked not by traditional royal aides or press secretaries, but by a formidable team of top-tier estate lawyers, senior trust executors, and constitutional specialists. There were no friendly greetings, no tea served on silver platters, and no warmth. Prince Harry had been summoned under the guise of an urgent, private family discussion regarding long-term estate management and security protocols. Expecting a tense but standard negotiation over security funding and property access, Harry entered the Grand Library at Sandringham completely unprepared for the ambush that awaited him. Laid out across the polished mahogany table were reams of thick, red-bound legal folders, stamped with the absolute seal of the Privy Purse. Without a single word of personal greeting, King Charles motioned for the lead legal counsel to present the documents. The decree was brief, terrifying, and absolute. Using a rarely invoked, centuries-old royal prerogative clause tied to the governance of sovereign family trusts, the king was initiating an immediate, unilateral restructuring of all non-crown assets, specifically targeting the discretionary management frameworks of the Diana estate allocations. The room turned ice-cold as the lead attorney read out the central clause. Effective immediately, any beneficiary who maintained primary residential status outside the British Isles for an extended period, and who engaged in unauthorized commercial monetization of royal heritage, would forfeit all active managerial control, liquidity access, and principal distribution rights over the discretionary capital funds of the estate. The emotional reaction was instantaneous and explosive. Eyewitnesses leak that Prince Harry's face drained of all color before flushing with pure, unadulterated rage. He slammed his fists onto the mahogany table, shouting that this was a betrayal of the highest order, an outright desecration of his mother's dying wishes. He accused his father of weaponizing Diana's memory to force him into total submission, declaring that the money belonged to him and his children, not to a cold, heartless institutional machine. King Charles sat in total, stony silence, his hands clasped, refusing to engage in an emotional shouting match. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper, yet carried the crushing weight of absolute royal authority. He informed Harry that the decision was no longer up for discussion. The papers had already been signed, notarized, and witnessed by independent judicial authorities. The financial fortress Harry thought he possessed had been dismantled in less than 15 minutes. Then came the first catastrophic twist that turned an emotional argument into an absolute nightmare. As Harry reached for the documents, intending to tear them to pieces or storm out of the room to contact his private legal team in California, a senior executor quietly delivered a devastating piece of news. The clause didn't just freeze future payouts, it contained a retroactive clawback mechanism. Because the Diana Trust funds had been structurally reclassified under the monarch's supreme fiduciary oversight, any capital distributions Harry had drawn over the past 3 years were now officially flagged as unauthorized administrative advances. In plain, brutal terms, Harry wasn't just being cut off from future millions. The estate was issuing an immediate formal demand for the total auditing and potential repayment of millions of dollars already spent on his Montecito lifestyle, security details, and private legal fees. The trap had snapped shut. Harry wasn't just walking away empty-handed, he was suddenly facing a catastrophic financial liability that threatened to bankrupt his entire independent operation overnight. The moment the meeting dissolved, the fallout escalated at a speed that left both sides reeling. Harry reportedly left Sandringham in a state of absolute fury, boarding a private vehicle while furiously attempting to contact his legal team in Los Angeles. But the palace had already executed a masterclass in information warfare. Within hours of the Sandringham meeting, encrypted leaks began filtering out to elite legal circles and high-level royal correspondents in London. The news cycle exploded like a megaton bomb. Social media platforms were instantly overwhelmed with thousands of posts every minute. Hashtags like hashtag Sandringham Showdown, hashtag Diana Fortune, and hashtag Royal Disinheritance trended globally, shattering internet traffic records. The narrative was moving faster than anyone could control. Private aviation trackers showed immediate, unusual flight paths between London and California, sparking frantic live-streamed coverage from news helicopters tracking every move. Online, the reaction was pure chaos. An anonymous X account, widely rumored to be operated by a former palace staffer, posted a series of cryptic tweets that sent the internet into a tailspin. The ink is dry. The vault is locked. The Montecito lifestyle just hit a brick wall. Mother's money is officially state-controlled. Checkmate. The thread received over 40 million views in less than 3 hours, triggering wild speculation across every major news network. Celebrities, legal analysts, and talk show hosts immediately weighed in, dividing the public into ferocious camps. Legal experts appeared on primetime television, desperately trying to analyze whether a reigning monarch even possessed the legal authority to seize or restructure a private inheritance. Mainstream commentators openly questioned whether this was an act of necessary institutional defense or a cold-blooded act of paternal revenge. As the media firestorm threatened to consume the entire global news cycle, the second, even more shocking reveal dropped, a twist so sinister that it completely redefined the nature of the conflict. Deep within the leaked legal briefs was a hidden secondary provision, a terrifying vault clause that had nothing to do with cash or bank accounts. Among Princess Diana's most prized private possessions were her confidential journals, personal cassette tapes, and private letters, items that had been held in secure, climate-controlled archives, intended to be passed down to Harry when he reached his mid-40s. Under the new legal reclassification, King Charles didn't just freeze the money, he officially redesignated Princess Diana's private personal archives as diplomatic artifacts of sovereign importance. By applying this specific historical designation, the physical documents, letters, and unreleased recordings were permanently absorbed into the royal archives beneath Windsor Castle. Harry was completely stripped of his legal rights to his mother's private voice. He lost all intellectual property rights, all publication access, and all legal authority to ever quote, release, or reference those personal family archives in any future books, documentaries, or media projects. The palace had effectively seized his mother's personal legacy and locked it inside an impenetrable steel vault. If Harry ever attempted to publish a single sentence from those private records, he would be hit with an immediate criminal injunction for violating sovereign state secrets. The message from London was loud, clear, and utterly chilling. The crown now owned the past, the present, and the narrative, permanently. The global media ecosystem descended into total, unadulterated madness. The revelation that King Charles had locked away Diana's fortune and personal archives created a cultural divide not seen since the late 90s. The news dominated front pages from New York to Sydney, completely eclipsing international politics and global economic news. On social media, the public was locked in a brutal civil war. Fanatical supporters of the Sussexes rallied online, organizing massive digital campaigns, launching petitions, and accusing the royal family of emotional abuse, systemic greed, and an outright theft of a dead mother's legacy. They stole her life, and now they are stealing her legacy from her youngest son, tweeted one high-profile influencer, accumulating hundreds of thousands of retweets within hours. This isn't royal duty, this is pure, unadulterated malice. On the flip side, staunch royalists and traditionalists celebrated the king's unyielding stance as a masterstroke of decisive leadership. They argued that Harry had spent years profiting off his royal titles while relentlessly attacking the institution, and that it was high time he faced the real-world financial consequences of his actions. "You cannot trash the firm and expect the firm to fund your lifestyle," declared a prominent London newspaper columnist during a heated live broadcast. King Charles has finally shown the world that the monarchy cannot be blackmailed. The entertainment industry in Hollywood was struck by an immediate, paralyzing panic. Major streaming executives, publishing houses, and talent agencies holding multi-million-dollar contracts with the Sussexes immediately called emergency board meetings. The entire commercial value of the Sussex brand was built on their unique, unprecedented access to authentic, insider royal drama and historic royal lineage. With the Diana fortune frozen, retroactive legal liabilities looming, and the private archives legally impounded under state secrecy laws, Hollywood executives realized that the well of content had just been permanently capped. Confidential internal memos from major media networks leaked to the press, revealing intense anxiety among investors. If they can't use the Diana material, and if their financial standing is compromised, the production pipeline is dead in the water. We are looking at massive write-downs. A rival celebrity family even posted a subtle, shade-filled TikTok video featuring a luxurious lifestyle, captioned, "Real wealth is when your family doesn't freeze your bank accounts overnight." The video went viral instantly, generating millions of comments debating the harsh realities of extreme elite power plays. Meanwhile, rumors began circulating that high-profile celebrity friends in Montecito were quietly distancing themselves. The glamorous, ultra-exclusive inner circle that once surrounded the Sussexes was suddenly walking on eggshells, terrifyingly aware that getting caught in the middle of a direct financial war with the British Crown could have devastating legal and social repercussions for their own global brands. The isolation was no longer just geographical, it was becoming absolute. Just when the world thought this horrific saga couldn't possibly take another dramatic turn, a final, catastrophic revelation surfaced from deep inside the High Court registries in London, a twist that turns this entire war completely on its head and leaves the entire global audience gasping for air. Late last night, a whistleblower within the estate's Chancery Division leaked a heavily redacted document that proved King Charles did not act entirely alone in crafting this brutal legal ambush. The documents reveal that the structural legal mechanism used to reclassify the Diana Trust funds and seize the private archives was actually co-authored and signed off over 2 years ago by none other than Prince William himself. That's right. Prince William, Harry's own brother, the heir to the throne, the man who shared the tragic loss of their mother, was the silent mastermind behind the legal architecture that stripped Harry of his inheritance. According to the leaked Chancery filings, William used his absolute authority as the head of the Duchy of Cornwall to quietly merge the administrative oversight of both brothers' inheritance frameworks. William deliberately inserted a mandatory institutional continuity clause that automatically triggered the total freezing of assets if either brother permanently severed ties with the official working monarchy. William didn't just support his father's decision, he handed Charles the exact loaded weapon used at Sandringham. When Harry discovered his brother's signature on the bottom of the execution order, the betrayal cut deeper than any legal action ever could. Insiders report that Harry sent a single, devastating final text message directly to William's encrypted private phone line, a message that reportedly read, "You took her money, you took her voice, and you killed her memory. We are done forever." Music? But here is the ultimate cliffhanger that changes everything we thought we knew about this war. As Harry sat in his Montecito study, facing total financial ruin and absolute isolation, his legal team discovered a forgotten, ultra-secret holographic codicil personally handwritten by Princess Diana in late 1996, buried deep inside a private vault in Geneva, Switzerland. A document that was never submitted to the British probate court. A document that explicitly states that if the Crown ever attempted to interfere with her son's personal freedom or private fortunes, an automatic trigger would immediately transfer ownership of her entire global intellectual property, unpublished audio recordings, and massive overseas secret accounts to an independent Swiss foundation, completely out of reach of the British monarchy, King Charles, and Prince William combined. The Swiss lawyers had just issued an ultimatum to Buckingham Palace: unfreeze Harry's assets within 72 hours, or the Geneva vault will be unlocked live on international television, exposing every single secret, recording, and diary Princess Diana left behind. The clock is ticking. The palace is in absolute lockdown. The king is facing an unprecedented constitutional catastrophe, and the entire world is holding its breath. This is an absolute war, and the fallout is happening in real time. Was King Charles entirely justified in taking a ruthless stand to defend the British monarchy? Or did he and Prince William cross an unforgivable line by stripping Harry of his late mother's legacy? Is Prince William the ultimate traitor to his own brother, or is he just protecting the future of the crown at all costs? And what do you think is hidden inside that Swiss vault in Geneva? Drop your thoughts in the comments below right now. I read every single one, and I want to hear where you stand in this historic royal feud. Don't forget to hit that smash like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a single emergency update. The 72-hour deadline is counting down, and the moment that Geneva Vault opens, we will be live right here with the explosive breakdown. Stay tuned, stay vigilant, and I will see you in the very next video.